Imagine this, you're deep inside enemy land, your army is sick, exhausted, outnumbered, and the most powerful force in Europe is waiting to destroy you. Do you run, or do you fight? And risk everything? In 1415, Henry V chose to fight. Young, ambitious, and determined to prove his claim to the French throne, Henry launched an invasion of France. This was part of the long and brutal 100 Years' War, but for Henry, it was more than war, it was about legacy. At first, things went according to plan. The English army laid siege to the port city of Harfleur. After weeks of fighting, the city fell. It was a victory, but not the kind Henry expected. Disease spread rapidly through his army. Dysentery weakened the soldiers. Many died. Many more could barely stand, his army shrank, his strength faded. Most kings would have returned home, but Henry made a decision that shocked everyone. He would march across France. Through enemy territory. All the way to Calais. It was a dangerous gamble, and the French saw their chance. They gathered a massive army, filled with knights, nobles, and elite warriors. Their goal was simple: end Henry's invasion, crush the English army, and restore French dominance. As Henry moved forward, the trap closed in. His tired army was about to face a force nearly 3 times its size, and there was no escape. Only one path remained: Agincourt. The French had everything: more soldiers, stronger armor, higher status, but they didn't understand one thing: the battlefield itself was their enemy. On October 25, 1415, both armies met near a small village called Agincourt. The battlefield looked simple, a narrow open field, surrounded by dense forests on both sides, but the night before the battle, heavy rain fell, the ground turned into thick, sticky mud, and that mud would decide the fate of thousands. The French army stood proud, thousands of heavily armored knights, considered the best warriors in Europe. They were confident, almost arrogant. Victory, to them, was certain. Facing them was a much smaller English army. Tired, hungry, sick, but disciplined, and most importantly, prepared. Henry V positioned his forces carefully. His archers, armed with powerful longbows, were placed on both sides. In front of them, sharpened wooden stakes were driven into the ground to stop cavalry charges. In the center stood the infantry. Then, they waited. The French, eager for glory, began their advance. Their knights moved forward, but the mud slowed them down. Heavy armor dragged them deeper with every step. Their formation began to break, and then, the sky darkened. Thousands of arrows filled the air. The English longbowmen fired again. And again, and again. Horses panicked. Knights fell. The ground became chaos. Still, the French pushed forward, not realizing they were walking deeper into disaster. What if the greatest warriors in Europe couldn't even lift their weapons? As the battle reached its peak, the French army found itself in a nightmare. The narrow field forced thousands into a tight space. The mud trapped their feet. Their heavy armor made movement exhausting. When a soldier fell, he couldn't get back up, and worse, the men behind him kept pushing forward, creating a deadly crush. Men were suffocating under the weight of their own army. Meanwhile, the English kept attacking. Archers continued firing arrows at close range. Then something unexpected happened. The archers dropped their bows, picked up axes, knives, and hammers, and charged into battle. The French knights, once feared across Europe, were now helpless, trapped, exhausted, overwhelmed. Henry V saw the moment, and gave the order to push forward. The English infantry attacked with precision, one by one. The French elite fell: knights, commanders, nobles. By the end of the battle, thousands of French soldiers lay defeated, while the English losses were shockingly low. The impossible had happened. The Battle of Agincourt became one of the greatest underdog victories in history. A smaller, weaker army defeated a stronger one using strategy, discipline, and the battlefield itself. Henry returned to England as a legend, and the world learned something powerful. Victory doesn't belong to numbers, it belongs to those who understand the moment.